Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Shonen and Chill, hosted by Zenrotto and Oceaniz.
Hello, folks. What is up?
And I'm really excited to talk about a Velociraptor today.
Me too. I can't believe after all the bullshit we talked last time, he actually pulled through. He was such a
Can we
G in this.
just talk about how they all watch our show?
What? All
All,
these
all, all of Mangaka,
manga?
they all watch the show. Every single one of them.
Yeah. Of course they
Except the
do. I mean, I
Roboco
do feel
guy. He's gotten fed up.
I do get a little sad on Oda's behalf. He's the one who comments every week saying, "Where's One Piece?"
The One Piece chapter was great this week. It's always Oda.
Yeah. um, but yeah, hi folks. We are back, and right off the bat, we have a bit of news for the Shonen Jump magazine, which is that we're getting a new batch of series to replace the last couple of cancellations, and I think this time it's a pretty big one. We're getting four new series that'll start over the next 4 weeks. Um, and those include a series that is based on a one shot, Takopi's Original Sin, which won a contest in Japan 2 or 3 months ago, and thus won the right to serialization. And then another one, which is going to be written by Nisio Isen, who many may know from the Monogatari series or as the author of Medaka Box. And for you, Zen, that's the guy who wrote the Over Heaven novel.
Oh, cool.
Uh,
Thank you
yeah,
for recontextualizing that into words I understood.
yeah, um, yeah. Nisio Isin hasn't. I don't think he's been in Jump ever since Medaka Box in like the early 2000s. So it's pretty cool to see him back. The art, as per usual, I believe, is not going to be done by him, but by another artist. But yeah, uh, big word Mech Fancy Pants is going to be back in Jump, and it's going to be interesting to see how they translate him, because it's like a whole thing in the translation scene that you don't want to be the guy who has to translate an Isin work, because he does so much with like word plays and sounds and phonemes in Japanese that there's almost no way to accurately translate him when he's like at his most unhinged. So yeah, that'll be very interesting.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, you read Over Heaven, right?
I read it online with like a fan translation, so I don't know how accurate it was, but
Well, the fan translation is the only one that exists, and I'm sure maybe you remember that it was very awkward to read because it had like weird English in places. Because I'm pretty sure that translator was not themselves a native English speaker, and so they just tried to translate things one by one. Which, when doing Eason, that sounds very odd. That's how you get Dio saying "indeed" 7 times in a row.
I feel like Dio would do that.
I mean, he would.
That's not entirely
Um,
out of character.
That is true. But yeah, that's the big news. We'll be getting four new series. And good gods, and we'll have to read at least chapter one of all of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All
Uh,
right.
for those who don't know, we hate reading on this reading podcast.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I'm just like, I don't want to look at your shit, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm sure there'll be something. At least one of those four has got to be good, right? Like,
I I
just
mean,
probability wise.
no, but hopefully.
Come on, man. 25%? Is that too much to ask for?
I'm doing my best here. All right. I said
Yeah.
hopefully.
All right. What's your top three this week?
I think at number three, I have got Undead Unluck. No, you know what? I think at number three I have Mashle. Number two I have Undead Unluck, and number one I have Jujutsu Kaisen.
Damn, nice. At number three, I have My Hero. At number two, I have Undead Unluck, and at number one, I have Jujutsu Kaisen.
Okay,
Yeah,
pretty close then. Pretty
Hori.
close.
Yeah, Hori's not sleeping on the couch for once, although frankly, it's on a technicality. But we'll get there.
He barely passed the grading sheet this time.
Yeah. he My man may be clumsy with social metaphors, but damn can he draw.
He do be making drawings, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. But all right, what's first?
All right, first up is going to be Choujin X.
Which, hey, a new Shoujin chapter before the passing of the new moon.
Yeah, pretty neat.
Yeah, was very surprised. But it's cool. We got like the continuation, or rather, the big chunk of the fight between Tokyo and Chandra, and it was very cool. I really liked how he completely loses, but then Chandra is like, "Oh shit, I'm not supposed to kill him."
Yeah, that part was really funny. I love the
Yeah,
page turn from when he's screaming die, and then there's like the one page of him realizing it, and then he's screaming don't die.
yeah.
It's
He's
really
like
funny.
deep breathing in and out, boy. Yeah. No, that was fun. That was like very charming. Also, it characterizes the bad guy in a really funny way.
Hmm.
That's like
Yeah, I think
gets
he might be my favorite bad guy just from this.
yeah, because he gets so mad that he's like 5 times more powerful, but he's also just forgets what he's doing. Like, it's a fun character trait for sure, especially compared to how like refined he looks, right? With like his suit and the sideburns. And he's just a fucking idiot. Love that. Also, now I'm looking at it, wow, his sideburns look fucked up.
Yeah, they're weird. They're super weird.
Yeah, because they don't connect in front of his ear. They connect behind his ear. Good God, dude, who did you like that?
Somebody
Who
fucked
fucked
you
up your
up, man.
cut? Yeah, not gonna sugarcoat it. They fucked up your cut. Um, and yeah, we get a little team up with Eli and Tokyo at the end. Very cool, like page when they're both standing together.
Yeah, that is a cool
Um,
page.
yeah, and yeah, I'm excited for this team up fight. This looks like a really fun time. And if we keep going at this pace, maybe I'll even remember things.
Yeah, it keeps coming out every 4 days, and we'll be good.
Folks, you gotta understand, we're not criticizing Shoujin X's release schedule. If anything, we're criticizing ourselves. If anything,
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
just
it sounds like we're saying, listen, make more chapters, but really we're saying, listen, why can't we remember things?
listen, listen. We may be stupid.
And that's
we may,
it. Yeah,
we,
there's no but coming. We
yeah.
just might be stupid.
I might be stupid. Yeah. Well, you know, when you get to our elevated age of mid 20s and early 30s, respectively, shit just starts decaying. Um, it's just how it is. God, the other week one of my knees started clicking, and I just welcomed the Reaper.
Yeah, well, it's funny because when you're young, I mean, I'm pretty sure this is like a Louis C.K. joke, but like it's actually true that like
Mhm.
when you're young, you go to the doctor and they're like, all right, we're gonna do this, this, and this. And you're like, oh, great. And then when you're older, you go to the doctor and they're like, uh-huh, yes, correct. Your
Yeah,
body sucks
yeah,
now.
yeah,
And it's like, cool. That'll be $400.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I had to go to the doctor recently, and he was like, "Oh yeah, so here's this like medically relevant problem that you seem to have like chronically." I'm like, "So what do I do?" And he just sort of tells me, "I don't know, live healthier." I'm like, "Okay, great, that helps me." Like what? No treatment, nothing. Like, nope, this is just what your body does. I'm like, "Oh, cool, love that for myself." So yeah, now here I am, knees clicking, eye backs drooping at the ripe old age of 25.
Well, liking My Hero Academia can really wear on you after a
Oh,
while.
dude. You know those memes where it's like, what kind of anime fan are you? And it's like modern anime fan, and it's like Chainsaw Man airing right now. Old school fan, it's like Jujutsu Kaisen. Super retro fan, My Hero. Historical fan, Demon Slayer. Jurassic era fan, the fucking Sword Art Online. That's how I that's how I feel sometimes.
Jurassic.
That's how
God,
I
what does
feel.
that make me with like Yu Yu Hakusho pre Big Bang? This is like the past loop.
Yeah. Calcified fan. But yeah, that's how I feel with also like God. I sound like such an old man, but I've really noticed like especially with AniTubers and like new YouTubers, and they're like, "Yeah, I was born in the year 2000." I'm like, "What? Why? Like how? No one's born in the year 2000. Don't be silly." But they do. They do. Uh, I fucking hate time, dude.
I know, right? Doesn't it suck? Well, it
Yeah,
sucks
we
because
almost.
I'm 30, and every now and again I'm still like, do I have to go to school today? Like, you never shake it really.
Well, that's also because school systematically traumatizes you, but that's a different story altogether. But yeah. Anyway, moving on from age-related woes of the very much not old. What do we give Shoujin X?
Pretty funny out of 10.
Yeah, pretty. I like the guy in the suit out of 10.
I really do like him. I found a lot of the villains in this to be like pretty funny and like they're pretty likable. Like the Squid Head
Mhm.
man, I liked him.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
Ricardo.
but I really like the guy in the suit. He's really good.
Well, I think all of the villains so far just get like that one little bit of spice that makes them
Yeah, they
interesting.
have
Like
like the perfect little character quirk where you're like, I like this guy. You
yeah,
know?
like the guy who can the guy who can summon the Bone Zone. That shit's so
Yes.
funny. Um, all right, what's next?
Next up is I'm not reading that shit again because I already read it last time. Sasuke's story.
Yeah, which is bi-weekly, we have been told.
Yes, we have been told, and it's also been backed up by the fact that it came out. So,
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's gonna
um,
be one week Sasuke's story and the other week
the
Mirai's story.
Kurenai thing, yeah, or whatever
Yeah.
that child's name is.
Yeah, whatever. We're talking about the good spin-off now, the one
Yeah,
with the
we're
raptor.
talking about peak fiction right now. I don't want to talk about that other one. Um, I just wanted to, dog. Did that raptor just push Sasuke? How strong is this raptor, bro?
Not even that. It's the fact that we have a fight between Sasuke and a Velociraptor, and it's actually really fucking cool and
It's
well
actually
paneled.
good. Yeah, it's like a fun fight.
This is better than any fight in Boruto.
It is. It actually is, which is unfortunate. Um, Listen, the anime Boruto fight with Momoshiki is really good.
Yeah.
I don't even remember if that fight was in the manga, so that should tell you how not good it was. Because I actually read Boruto. Um, well, okay, I don't anymore, but I used to. Um, I did when that would have happened. There's like actual fight. Okay, granted, it only takes place in like a hallway, but you know
Mhm.
what? At least the hallway's in the shot some of the times.
That, and also I think what makes this fight interesting is that it does acknowledge the fact that Sasuke can probably just eliminate this fucking raptor in 2 seconds, but he gives it just enough like weird quirks to make it fun and interesting. Like the whole thing where he's like, I don't want to leave traces, and oh shit, my Sharingan doesn't work on him for whatever reason. Um, I really like that, and also I like that Sasuke is using jutsu we haven't seen in Naruto yet. When he's making like those earth crystals,
Yeah,
both
when
as
he
a
turns the
dagger.
rock into like a gemstone.
Yeah, that's super cool. Um, the fucking page where he tries to use his Sharingan on the raptor and it doesn't work. And it's just like it's a totally normal like Shonen Jump action page, except one of the fighters is a fucking dinosaur.
It's so good though.
It's so
It's
fucking
so
funny.
fucking good.
Um,
Sasuke at one point punches the Velociraptor in the stomach.
Which is also, dude, the easiest way to make a character funny and entertaining in a manga is to just make him punch like an animal. And it sounds awful, but like in Villain Saga, there's a guy who is like this huge hulking Viking, and the main character's like riding towards him, and he's like, "Ah, I have the high ground. I have a horse. I'm gonna decapitate him." And the guy fucking uppercuts the horse and instantly kills it. And that's the moment he becomes everyone's favorite character. And it's the same philosophy here. Just let your protagonist like punch really big, strong animals, and it instantly makes him likable. It's the same here with Sasuke. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm just punch this dinosaur real quick.
Not only does he punch it, he does it the fucking like leg sweep on it. He sweeps the leg on a velociraptor.
This sounds like a wrestling bit.
It does. It's so good though.
Yeah.
And you're right that I do like how, because I almost had a minute where I was like, why do these fights matter? Because Sasuke could literally just like Susanoo and just destroy this fucking place. But then I remembered that he can't because he's specifically trying to get like a piece of information. So while
Mhm.
Sasuke himself is not actually under like any real threat here, his goal is, which is a really good way to write a character who's as absolutely bonkers as Sasuke is.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I think it really helps to like fully sell this setting, because I think we talked about it last week that it is cool to get a character like Sasuke, who we've seen, fight off gods, um, into a story situation that is much more mundane and much more intimate. And this detail of him having explicit goals that do not allow for him to just nuke everything really completes that whole idea and makes it actually really fun. It's basically a macro version of the whole thing in anime fights where they're like, oh, don't give a character one superpowered ability, give them a small ability that they need to use in clever ways. This is the same, just instead of an ability, Sasuke has to use his entire being in a clever way in order to not arouse suspicion. Um, which also I did really like the little moment where he realizes both that the Velociraptor and that the Overseer that are not affected by Genjutsu, because that's like genuinely a very cool and mysterious thing to add. Because Genjutsu has been such a such an of course kind of deal in Naruto for so long, um, especially like the Sharingan's Genjutsu, and then the explanation for it actually is, yeah, super cool and super simple. Is, yeah, he just has fake eyes. Of course, you're not
Yeah,
gonna.
so
It's
you
not gonna
can't
work out.
eye into them because they're not there.
Yeah. Um. Also, the Velociraptor is actually like interesting plot wise, which is the dumbest thing I've ever said. But the fact that he's like just back to life again the next day and fully like regenerated is really cool. The way it's sort of unsettles Sasuke as well. Um. But yeah, I'm fully on board with this now. Like this chapter really, really got me. And put away the last bit of doubt I had. This is the canon Naruto continuation I wanted. Rap Toruto.
Need this animated ASAP.
Yeah, drop Boruto
The
Studio Pierrot.
Sakuga on Sasuke versus Old Minnow.
Dude, dude, I would actually like scream if this got an anime adaptation and they gave that fight like the Naruto versus Pain treatment. Just make it like a Looney Tunes fight. You know how funny that would be? Also, I mean, side note, I really like how the raptor is drawn. As someone who is way too much into reptiles, I really think that's a very solid raptor design. No feathers, but we take those. The
Yeah, I
feathered
mean,
raptor.
it's Jurassic Park style. It's
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. Like feathers on a raptor, that's like millennial zoomer shit. That's like the liberals trying to ruin everything again, you know, as they do. God, you would not believe how like heated people get about dinosaur designs. Like, let me tell you, that shit's serious. That shit's life or death for some people.
You know, everything is life or death for somebody.
You know what? Fair enough. I never, the thing I just said, where like, oh, the liberals are ruining dinosaurs by putting feathers on it. That's an unironic thing I've heard someone say. That's not just me like voice vomiting into the microphone. That's an actual thing. At least someone believes, which is ugh. Maybe everyone getting to have an opinion was not a good idea. Just
I
just
think we've
throwing that one
established
out there.
that already.
I mean, that's true. That's why we're here.
That's exactly why we're
Yeah. Um, but right, Sasuke gets a Raptor out of 10 from me.
Yeah, please continue with this Velociraptor out of 10.
Yeah, that's my one worry. I feel like it's gonna get really bad the moment the Velociraptor like
Once
leaves
the
the
Raptor's
story.
out of the picture.
But all right, what's next?
Next up is Blue Box.
Which was mostly extremely sweet up until the very last
Yeah,
page.
ouch though, that last page. Owies.
Yeah, but I mean, it had to happen.
It did have to happen. Um,
Yeah,
but
yeah, it's I mean, I'm glad that he went through with it, just on a pure like on a level where like it needed to happen. He needed to just go like sort of get on this shit, right? Because it's been going on for long enough, um, and he's been indecisive for long enough. And even if this isn't like the best and most thought out choice, and I'm sure he's gonna second guess it, at least changes things. And when you're in an emotional stalemate, sometimes the best thing you can do is to just change anything. Um, and of course, we as the audience, we can see that Hina, she's the obstacle. She's not the goal. At least in the grand scheme of things. She's not on the chapter 1 color page with Taiki. That's for sure.
right.
Yeah, she lost the draft, unfortunately.
She did.
Yeah. Which is a shame though, because the rest of the chapter really like puts a lot of legwork in to try and endear you into the fact that they might be an item. And then it's like, nope, sorry. Um, but I feel like that's also by itself like an interesting choice, right? Because it's sort of by showing us that they're getting along so well, and then cutting to the moment when Hina like reaches out her hand to him and then stops, and we is sort of like a low point in their relationship in that, oh, maybe it's not gonna happen, and then they talk a little more, and Hina goes, oh, I love you so much, which is at a high point, and so on and so forth. It almost like mimics a will they won't they in just one chapter. um and I think the intention is kind of to show us how unproductive that is. And so it is cool to then have Taiki basically take it into his own hands and be like, look, no, this can't go on. I'm sorry, I'm not interested in you. And yeah, no, a very, very cool chapter. Liked it a lot.
Yeah, it was really good. You never want to have to say that to somebody else, because like, ouch, that sucks to hear. But also
Yeah.
like, you kind of have to, you know, that weird limbo. Like, you can't do that forever.
Yeah, I mean, the easiest thing in any relationship is to just leave it as it is. The problem is that many relationships benefit from you actively going out and vocalizing the things you want to change about it. And sometimes the things you want to change about them is to not have them in that form anymore. Um, but that's something that's hard to do for adults, let alone teenagers like these. Um, so I'm very interested to see sort of what Taiki feels about this going forward, because I'm sure he's gonna like get on all in up in his head about it and be like, oh
Probably,
no,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, naturally. Um, I think anyone would in something like this, where sort of like you've been sort of playing both opportunities for a while, and then you have to basically permanently close one down.
Right,
Never
you have to
feels
close
good.
one door. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean it's scary to
Yeah.
make a decision because then you don't know if that because like he's kind of been looking at it of like, oh, I've got these two girls that like me, what do I do? But then now making the concrete decision that you go with one of them is what if I went with the wrong one, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, it's the hard choice, but it's the one you need to make because you owe that to people as well, right? Um, and I think Hina also sort of fed into that a little with her whole thing that she was just gonna stick around until he makes a decision. It's sort of like, I get it, girl, but you also owe yourself to move on if you see that there is no chance. Um, because Taiki here did the right thing and vocalized what he wanted, but he could have also not. This could have gone on for so much longer, and what's Hina gonna do in the meantime? Just save herself for him? Also not a good way to spend your teenage years.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, the best way to spend your teenage years is to be a little weirdo who doesn't know what he's doing or she's doing and learn from that. That's the only right way to spend your teenage years. Um, so in the end, there are no mistakes. There are just lessons. Um, moving on from that, like actual piece of advice, that final spread also gave me like intense anxiety because on one of my military assignments, we worked in a gym hall that looked exactly like that one.
It's
Literally
PTSD
exactly.
flashback.
Dude, that was like the aftermath of some like national festival, and the entire like we were on the little railing where they're on in this chapter. Like we came in standing on that railing, we looked down, and it was full of like mattresses and other sleeping utensils that people had just left behind after the festival, completely covered in about every fluid you can imagine.
Oh God.
And it was dark, and
That's not
someone
a
had left.
phrase you ever want to hear.
Yeah, it was completely dark, just like lights shining through the blinds. And someone had left the radio on, and it was just blaring out of like these old broken speakers, "Staying Alive" by the Bee Gees. And so we come in there, and we have that side, and it's just like, "Staying alive, staying alive," and it's like a sight and a situation that's like etched itself into my mind, realizing, oh God, I have to clean all of this shit up. Um, Oh God, that was yeah. So when I saw that final spread, not only did the words hurt me, the image did as well.
Everything was bad.
God, yeah, I requested never to work on that fucking festival again. That was awful.
Yeah,
They had
sounds like it. Jesus.
they had me watching. Well, not all of it was bad. They had me and the guy watching a gate for like 6 hours, like out in the middle of nowhere, because it was technically still festival area. Um, And that was, all right. We sat by the river. One guy came out completely drunk and showed his dick to us, and we made fun about how small he was. Good times.
Got him.
Yeah.
Don't be saying
Yeah.
that. We're gonna get so many comments.
Kids, don't join the military if you can avoid it. It's just a whole bunch of nonsense. Uh, no, it was. I mean, I'm surprised no one complains about my anecdotes. I feel like I go on at least one every episode, but it's what happens when you talk a lot. Um, the lesson is avoid the draft if you can. You know, I wasn't able to get out of it. They drafted me. They were like, "Oh, you have like a medical condition that doesn't make you fit for the military. Luckily for you, we decide if you're fit for it, and you are. Congrats. Hope you like being, forced to serve the country until you're 38. Like, yay!" But it is what it is. Uh, I get to do wonderful things such as clean up a fucking gym hall full of cum. It's great.
So anyway,
What's next?
next up is Ginka and Luna.
Which was actually pretty cool. Like I liked it.
It's alright.
I liked the Black Clover guy.
He's alright.
Yeah, he's
I don't
alright.
really care about any of this stuff. Um, I thought it was kind of neat when she busted out of his magic or whatever.
Hmm.
I am kind of annoyed that she has no training, but she's also like as strong as this most powerful Ultraman ever, like no problem.
Yeah.
Because we just learned that there's like stuff you got to learn to really make magic really good, and she's like, I do not actually.
Hmm. Well,
um,
it's also like what annoys me here as well is that he is that he mentions like, oh, it's not Varokian magic, it's a different type. Oh, and it's like, wow, this sounds like a really cool power system. I wonder if someone could explain it in a way that isn't stupid for once.
yeah, like if you could explain it in a way that didn't immediately end with, but I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe that's the point. Maybe that's the thing he's going for. That, oh, magic shouldn't be constrained and it can be whatever you want. But it's like, hey, buddy, uh, I'm trying to read and have fun here. Tell me how to have fun. I cannot do it on my own. Tell me how this power system works, because so far it's very much like it's annoying. It's very much like other characters exist in like an actual shonen power system, and Luna is just sort of like, oh yeah, I can do this.
Yeah,
My
it
magic
does kind of.
systems
Yeah,
work.
that's a good way to put it. Where like it feels that every other character is stuck in a power system we don't know anything about, but our
Mm-hmm.
main character is just like,
Yeah,
eh, I
don't
just do
feel
whatever the fuck
like
I
it.
want.
Yeah. Um. But yeah. Aside from that, it was a fun chapter. I thought the art was good. The combat was cool. I liked the pages when he's pummeling her into the wall, and you just have this giant speech bubble of his magic speak. That's really cool. With like the multiple craters.
Yes, the art was really good too.
Yeah. Also, when she like unleashes her arm,
hmm And I really like
which
page 16 and 17, the kind of like almost spread.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That one's creepy as fuck as well.
Like the creepy eyes on the thing around him and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's cool.
And then the fight gets interrupted by Ginka.
Yes. Turning into a
But
silly table. And then it turns out our Black Clover guy is like some kind of freak. Some kind of
mm-hmm.
weirdo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, let's see where it goes, I guess. At this point, it's like that's the annoying part. Like Ginka and Luna, it's interesting enough to where I want to stick around to see if the author does anything with it. Like with the magic system. If he can just sort of build it out a little more, give us a little more context for how this actually works, this could be a really solid series in my opinion. But so far, yeah, it really feels like we're being thrown into the deep end of a system we are not being told about at all, and following a character who doesn't have any need or desire to interact with that system because she can just do whatever she wants.
hmm
Because this is also the first time we've heard Ginka use magic words, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure I am, and someone's gonna point it out. But I think this is the first time I've noticed him use them, which also makes it feel like okay, we could have learned about this like beforehand. Maybe in that fucking training art we skipped.
Yeah, and it's such a consistent problem that I've lost hope in it ever getting better. Like I don't think they're ever going to just suddenly start explaining everything. Um,
Uh,
and I don't know if this is like fear of cancellation because like now she's got the super arm of dark magic,
mm-hmm,
and she's like, oh, I can already compete with like this horrible monster man. So there's absolutely no need for me to really learn about the basics of magic unless like they're randomly like, oh, every time you use your dark arm, like you lose years off your life or something. So you have to learn how to do it the right way or something like that to try to bridge the gap and make her a little bit less like the
mm-hmm.
goat already. I don't know. It's fine, I guess. It's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's probably a little too early to even worry about cancellation because this is what chapter 9.
I mean,
Um,
Time Paradox Ghost Rider got it at like chapter 12.
Also fair. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, we do have 4 new series on the horizon, and those need a slot, and I'm not sure Shonen Jump has 4 slots open already.
Well, what do we have? Because we lost two with no like
There's no
replacements, right?
replacement. Yeah. Um, well, Shonen Jump, I think, generally hold. Well, no, one replacement was Hunter x Hunter, right?
I guess so.
Yeah, and I think Shonen Jump generally wants to or aims to have 22 series, if I remember correctly, running. Um, I don't know. I'm not gonna calculate it now, especially because I don't remember exactly what the last few series were and how they ended. But it is possible that something could get the axe. I would assume Demon Bride's story would get it first, just because it's a little further
A
along.
little older. Yeah.
Yeah, well, 1 week older. Let's not exaggerate that, but
I
I
also
do.
like it less, so
That is also true. But anyone who reads it can probably tell us if like the story looks like it's in danger. Um, I think with Ginka and Luna, it's really going to depend on the next chapter. Because now it could still be that like they meet this guy and they explain her arm in a way that doesn't make it like the solution to everything immediately. And then they part ways again. Or it could be that they just launch into the final fight. Um, I don't know. We'll have to see.
Well, I think this guy is he's looking like he's gonna turn into like a homie, like a vague homie.
Yeah,
So we'll see.
yeah. We'll just have to see. But either way, Ginka and Luna is only consistent in that it doesn't live up to the potential it very clearly has, which is kind of a shame. But oh well. C'est la vie, as they say in Portugal. Um, what's next?
Next up is gonna be
Not Witch Watch.
no, not Witch Watch. That's for damn sure.
Fucking go.
Sakamoto.
Speaking of let's fucking go, this was awesome.
It was really cool.
Very cool.
It was really
Um,
cool. I like the whole thing about like once I've hypnotized you, I can turn it back on whenever I want.
mhm.
That was cool at the end. I like the
Yeah, like
reveal that the invisible guy was never hypnotized. That was such a cool plan. The
mhm.
um, read my mind to get my plan because you're the only one that I can like strategize this way with. Shit was fucking
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, no, that was really cool. And just as usual, the whole combat flow and choreography is just so fun. Like the way they weave between attacking Seba and attacking Club Jam. Just a fun dynamic. Um and yeah, I also one move that really stuck out to me was, let me check what page it is. Yeah, on page 6 in the bottom two panels when Seba holds out his hand to basically um make our guy flinch. That's super cool. I like
Hmm.
stuff like that, like these micro feints.
Yeah, where he like
Because
makes
I
his
feel,
hand visible out of the cloak.
hmm yeah, it's like one of those things that I think a lot of like, especially like super battle shonen, tend to ignore because they can just invent abilities for stuff like that. So like these minute quirks of combat where you have to like, yeah, make your opponent just flinch, just close their eyes for like a second too long. I really like that in battle manga like this. Um, Also, of course, we mentioned last week, but the way he draws the invisibility cloak is so good.
Yes, it is. I love that. Just
Yeah, the
like
way it
the
like
weird
warps.
distorted image through it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, and of course, Club Jam continues to be really funny. Continues to be really cool. Um, but yeah, it's also interesting sort of how the fight like alternates in like what characters are the opponent. I think that's something that Sakamoto does very well in general, where it basically substitutes the fights and the characters very regularly to the point where it never gets completely stale. Like this brainwash fight or fake brainwash fight with Seba took us one chapter, and now we're gonna have another fight with another brainwash dude, but a different one. And it seems like we're gonna see it at least partially from his perspective. And so we're still fighting Club Jam, but it's continuing to remain like fresh and different, which I think is a very good way of doing this. Um, so yeah, very
Yeah, I
fun
agree. I
chapter.
think
Very
that's
fun.
like you're right that that's something that Sakamoto does in general really well. Because like you said, Club Jam has been the enemy for this entire arc, and we've been fighting him for a while now. But the
Mm-hmm.
like this whole setup changes so much that you're never like, oh my God, we still fighting
Mm-hmm.
Club Jam? Because like there's just a different twist to the battle immediately
Yeah,
afterward.
it's not like it's not like fighting what was it? Fighting fucking Shigaraki in the sky for 17 chapters. That's
Correct.
for sure.
That wasn't directly what I was saying, but yes, correct.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know, as like a different example, um I know, like fighting Madara on the same empty battleground for literally years in real time.
Hmm.
Um, God, I'm so fucking tired of empty battlegrounds in manga. Like
Another thing I
again,
love
like
about Sakamoto is there's always cool fucking like set pieces that they're fighting in.
exactly like mangaka. If you have a cool fight, the power level doesn't matter. Put it in a subway. Like be it an actual like underground railroad or the restaurant. Like just put it in a subway or put it like in a McDonald's. I don't care. Like make it interesting. that's one of like the big gripes I have with well, with My Hero and with a lot of like super battle shonen. And it's interesting because it's something that used to like when I was younger. I used to think like, oh no, I don't want any complications. I just want to see how these guys like shoot lasers at each other, and I don't want it to like be obstructed by anything. But now, having watched and read more stuff, I really appreciate it when it's like, oh yeah, these dudes, they're fucking busted and they're fighting inside a Target. They're fighting in the yogurt aisle of Walmart. Like that shit's cool. It gives us like such a grounded feel as opposed to, oh yeah, look at this, a fucking desert. Let's go,
Yeah, like
Vegeta.
I don't know, and it's cool because when you use the terrain in a fight, you create so many more avenues that the fight can go down. Like Jujutsu Kaisen does it really well too, where they're like, if they're fighting in a city, characters are going to use the city to their advantage, like Megami using the building for his domain, even all the way back in like the Kyoto crossover stuff when Yuji's like using the trees as like footholds and shit. It's it's good and it makes the fight interesting and it's a lot better than like, all right, I found the largest open area we can be in. Even like
Hmm.
in some modern stuff, they'll go to a location where they could do that and they still don't do it. Like I remember there's a fight with in Boruto where they're like in the forest and instead of like using the trees, they just get to a clearing in the forest and start beating each other up in the grass.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it's also one of those things that is just exacerbated by the power scaling problem that Shonen has, or Battle Shonen has rather, where how is Goku ever gonna use the environment in an interesting way? Dragon Ball Super Goku, that is. Like you're always gonna run into the problem of, okay, why are the continents not melting under his feet when
Right.
he clenches his butt cheeks and releases 70 gazillion gigatons of energy. But even so, like again, this kind of goes back to what we said with Sasuke, where like if you give your character a tangible reason to not just blast everything, you can make fights that so much more interesting, even if on paper they're just a demigod fighting a raptor.
Right.
Um,
Because like Sasuke could just blast everything in that
yeah,
moment if he wanted to, but it's counter to the goal he's trying to accomplish there.
yeah, and that's like it's what makes a story, like a written manga story, different from like playing a fighting game with these characters. Because obviously, if you play like Fighters or Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm, you can just bust out these big moves because it does the big damage. But in a realistic scenario, Sasuke's in this prison. He wants to like find something out. He's not gonna drop the Rinnegan meteors on the Velociraptor because that would be overkill. But in a fighting game, you would just, up, down, B, A, X, 17 separate inputs, and there you go, dead. Um, and yeah, it's just something that I really appreciate about Sakamoto, and that I wish more series would take to heart. I mean, with this newest crop of iconics, if you think Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man, I think both of them do that fairly well. Although Chainsaw Man, I think more so does it for the style rather than like the utility.
Yeah.
Like when he fights on the graveyard at the end of part one, I think that's more so for the aesthetic
Hmm.
than like the usefulness. But still, it's cool. Aesthetics are also cool. That's one. That's really the
Yeah, it
saving
is.
grace
I
of
mean,
like,
it's important. Like where you have the conflict take place is part of the conflict, right? So like
yeah.
if every time you have your characters fight, they're like in a wasteland or floating in the sky where like nothing can happen, it
Hmm.
changes the stakes of the fight a little bit.
Yeah. Like I think the saving grace of like the Stars and Stripes arc in My Hero is where it takes place for me because it's such a cool setting. I mean, it's again just a fight in the sky, but specifically one in the stratosphere on top of fighter jets. Like I don't care that it's not like used in an extremely creative way. It does have some creative little quirks to it, but just like the phrase of like, oh yeah, my characters are fighting on top of jets is just cool. It's cool to say and cool to read. Um, and that's also kind of part of the rule of cool, right? Because I think a lot of authors and a lot of readers interpret rule of cool as just like, oh, here's a character and he has a cool attack and here's a full panel of them doing it and they have a cool pose. Like, no, actually, put that cool character into the yogurt aisle of Walmart. Does Walmart have a yogurt aisle? We don't have Walmarts here. I don't.
There's not really a yogurt. It's like a dairy aisle. It would be the dairy
Okay,
aisle of Walmart.
okay, but yeah, put your character in there and then make the enemy lactose intolerant. Force feed him dairy, and then the big twist: the villain says, "You fool! No one who's lactose intolerant actually cares about accidentally eating lactose. We just
That's
all
true.
fucking do it." Uh, Shout out to all my lactose intolerant homies. The absolute unhinged energy of seeing someone like eat a tub of ice cream and halfway through asking them, "Wait, aren't you lactose intolerant?" And they go, "Yup," and put another spoon in their mouth. Like
Yeah,
that's
I'm lactose intolerant. I do that shit. You know how much pizza I eat
oh,
on a regular basis?
there you go. My unhinged king.
Mm-hmm.
Love
No
that.
one has time for that shit. I think it's
Yeah.
like in the genetics of anyone who's lactose intolerant that you also like dairy more than most people do.
Yeah, the forbidden fruit.
Like it comes with the territory.
Yeah. The forbidden candy. Um wow, people are gonna be very happy about this long Sakamoto Days segment.
Yes, as is tradition.
Hey, to be fair, this is like actually tangentially related. He
Yeah,
did
most
it.
of it's actually like praise for Sakamoto, just in a
Yeah.
very roundabout way.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we started talking
Um
about lactose intolerance, but only for a second.
hey, that's fine. I'm gonna find out soon if I'm lactose intolerant.
Oh damn.
Yeah, because
Enjoy
when I was
changing nothing about your lifestyle when you find out.
yeah, well, yeah, because when I was at the doctor's office recently, they were like, "Oh yeah, while we're doing this, you want to check for lactose intolerance?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, it's free. Why not?" Um, so yeah, I'm gonna get the results for that soon, and I'm gonna do absolutely nothing with them.
Mm-hmm. As is tradition.
Yeah, look, man, if I can't have some Gruyere in the morning, I don't know if I can get out of bed. Which implies that I eat Gruyere in bed, which I don't. I must clarify this for the people at home.
They're very stressed about it.
Yeah, I'm very stressed about the idea of me eating Gruyere
I
in bed. Do you guys have Gruyere in America?
don't even know what that is.
It's cheese. It's a type of cheese.
Oh, maybe, probably somewhere.
Yeah, because you guys have like that. What is it? Isn't it just called American cheese, like that orange stuff?
Yeah,
How's that taste? I've never had that.
it's fine.
Oh, okay, good. Very uncontroversial, productive conversation. We did it, gang.
Yeah.
What's next?
Next up is gonna be Akane-Banashi.
Which was very cool.
It
I
was. The
was
color
surprised.
page was awesome. I really
Yeah.
liked it. I really like how they worked the designs from the color page into the chapter. That was really
Hmm.
cool. And I like learning a little bit more about like the road she's got to take, you know?
Yeah, like it's interesting. We're getting just exposition dumps on a foreign culture's like culture or art, and it doesn't feel like tiring to read at all. Like it's really interesting to learn about Rakugo because it's portrayed in a way that is, that is interesting, right? This whole idea of vertical and horizontal progression and sort of the analogy to video games. It's super cool. It reminds me of all the things I wished Elusive Samurai did with its historical exposition dumps, which were,
Yes.
very confusing, right? And very sort of unengaging. Whereas this is like, I enjoyed learning about an obscure form of theater I had never heard about before. Um, which, is very much Akane-Banashi's thing at this point. Just being like, I'm going to talk to you about something you shouldn't care about, and you will love it. And I'm like, yes, sir. Also, we got a panel of the character saying cringe, so that's going into a screenshot folder.
Yeah, that is good. Any quality reaction image you can get is always appreciated.
Mhm. Absolutely. Uh, it makes up for the fact that I can't come up with good comebacks on my own.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah, gotta know your weaknesses and cover for them.
Via manga panel.
Yes, which absolutely covers for them and doesn't just make it look weirder. 100%. Um,
Nobody clarify that for him.
you know those memes where someone's like, "Oh, grandma, I'm sorry, our dog died," or something like that, and she just like sends back like the skull emoji.
Yeah.
Like imagine someone's like, I'm sorry, you're getting evicted, and you just send back this panel saying cringe.
Oh my god.
um, Speaking of, I really enjoy Karashi's entire like design for in this chapter. He's just such a gremlin.
He is. I really like him.
Yeah. Um, like when he realizes she's smiling on page 13, he has no nose. He's just like an angry fucking block.
Just yeah, just
Very
like
fun.
an imp.
Yeah. Very, very fun character art as usual. I mean, the final like pose on Akane in the final page is also super good. Um and yeah, I really appreciated sort of the broadening of the whole art we're seeing in this chapter. Like the idea that no, actually you're not just like your master's disciple. You move on, you grow, you become your own artist. And I think that's a really cool way to like both widen the message of the story, widen sort of the idea of how art should be like practiced, and also just in a very like practical way make the story more interesting because now it has a much bigger pool of characters and bigger pool of upgrades for the character to play with. Um, so that's really really cool. I really like that. Um, and so the other thing that stuck out to me was how the level of stories that she knows are called the Zenza-Banashi. So
Yeah,
I'm
like
wondering,
the
yeah,
name.
like,
The name of the thing's in it.
yeah. So is she gonna like make her own style or own like group of stories called the Akane-Banashi? Is that what this is? Where this is going?
I don't know, or is it, or maybe it's gonna be like, oh, like she's so good at those stories that she makes them her own. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, what we're witnessing now is not just any Banashi; it's Akane's Banashi.
Dun,
The
dun.
Ba-bam-bam-bam-bam. Boo!
And that's it. That's just title drop. We're done.
Yeah,
End the whole series right there.
yeah. No, like conclusion. It's just like the author's like, I peaked. I can't do any more than this.
Hit my limit.
Yeah. Um. But yeah, super cool chapter. Very excited to see sort of what new characters we meet, because obviously this is gonna like really open up like the setting. Because now she's just gonna
Yeah, I mean,
find new people.
it's like a huge it's like a battle shonen going to a new place. Like it's a huge
Yeah,
expansion of the lore.
yeah. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Also, it's funny that you called it the lore because this is just like real life.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a fake story within real
I
life.
know,
There's lore.
I know, but like if someone tells you like, oh, like your hometown, there used to be like a church there, but it burned down. You're like, wow, cool lore, bro. Like
Well, yeah, I mean, all right. Listen,
I
Akane
mean,
is
it is
not
cool
real.
lore.
She counts as lore.
I mean, yeah, I get it. It's just a funny thing to say. Don't worry, we're good.
Supposed to be on the same team here, all right?
Hey, yeah, being on the same team means I help you do the funnies. We're laughing, aren't we?
All right, I'm moving on.
All right.
Next one is Mashle.
Oh yeah, first top three territory, right?
Yes. This shit was raw as fuck. Listen, this was peak raw, all right?
Are you saying that because Doom reminds you of elder no younger Toguro
A
in Yu Yu
little bit. I
Hakusho?
was gonna make that comparison, yeah.
Yeah.
But I fucking love Rio. He's so good.
Mm-hmm.
The spread on page 16, fucking crazy. What a great page turn for him to
Yeah.
bust into his Toguro form, and then the very next page turn is him getting his ass handed to him.
Yeah, yeah, that's super cool. Which is also funny because I didn't think much of Rio before this. I was just like, oh yeah, it's the weird guy. But this is super nice. Such a good chapter.
Yeah, I love the expansion on his power where like the more in danger he feels, the more powerful he gets. Like it's fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
He's shooting like hyper beams through this dude. It's fucking
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, also like the pose he strikes at the bottom of page 4, that is such a good drawing. Holy shit. I like had to do a double take because I was
Yes.
like, damn. Because you don't get that level of like half tones and like three dimensionality to a drawing much. But the Mashle author is one of those authors, together with Horikoshi and the Undead Unluck author. where it's just like this. No matter like the week, no matter the content, it's just so polished every week.
Hmm.
Obviously Hori, whenever he has his like health problems or stress weeks, it sometimes suffers, but still, those are the three authors who, like, no matter what is happening, the art always looks like incredibly well made. Um, on like sort of a general appeal level. Obviously, something like Jujutsu Kaisen is also well made, but I think no one's gonna deny that it just looks sketchier and just looks sort of rougher because that's
Hmm.
the style it wants. Yeah. Um, Also, I completely forgotten that the bad guy's name was Doom.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
But no, this whole chapter was just like peak raw. Like I love how disgusting his transformation is on page
Mhm.
14.
Yeah, that's also why it reminded me of like Toguro, just like this vascular nightmare, just
Hmm.
turning into this huge, bony, awful thing. I will say the panel while he's transforming looks cooler than his final form.
Yeah, his final form looks a little weird because he's got the little tiny head.
Yeah, and like his hair is like just flowing downwards. I would have preferred it if it was, kind of like Awakened Gone, where it's just like flying upwards the entire time. I think that would have been cooler.
Well, it's funny
But
because in
yeah,
his form before that, it basically is,
yeah, exactly.
and then it falls back down.
Use the wrong shampoo during power up. You hate to see it.
It's a shame. It really is.
Yeah, more likely than you think.
Yeah, but no, this is
Um,
this is peak raw territory that we're in right now.
Absolutely fucking peaction. But do you have anything else to say? Because for me, this was very much just a very cool fight chapter at the end of
Yeah,
the
I mean
day.
that's all it is. It's just a fight chapter, but damn, it's one of the best ones in a while.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the best Mashle chapters in a hot minute.
All right, next up is Undead Unluck.
Dog, this shit's fucking goaded.
This last arc is so good. I'm gonna have to go back and actually read the series this time.
Right? Actually pay attention. Um, yeah, I love the whole vibe of this. Like the way she's going about it, using what she knows about the characters from the past to not just determine how to save them, but also like in what order. Like basically a list of what she needs to save each one. Um, it's such a fun way to do a final arc as well because it makes you it's like, when you have a final arc in a big story where it's like filled with references to the beginning because like, oh, look how far we've come. This like structurizes that in a really cool way and in a way that only Undead Unluck could really do, in my opinion. I think we talked about it last week as well that if any other series did this, this would be so dumb. But here's just peak Ronus.
Yeah, because like you think of how like oh I'm gonna go back in time and I'm gonna make sure that no one has anything bad ever happen to them. It's like the dumbest premise because immediately you think like oh that's gonna take all of the the strength out of the story, but it totally doesn't. Like it's just perfectly worked in. It's just so fucking good. I
Hmm.
love too later on when she's talking to him and he's like oh you can't tell me. You just want me to blindly believe you? Yes. And then he's like, so my life really sucked, huh? And she's like sobbing, going, yes.
Absolute Giga Chat Fuko.
I fucking love Fuko so much.
Yeah, no, she is the actual Giga Chad. Like more so than Andy at this point.
Oh, so much more than Andy. And I
Yeah.
also like kind of getting to see the actual because we know some of their like past tragedies, but like
Hmm.
I really love the final page of like, oh yeah, her power awakened and she killed 40,000 people
Yeah.
by freezing the air.
Yeah, so I'm really interested in how they're gonna stop that from happening. Because that's not because as she said, they can't just prevent her from becoming a negator. Because A,
Well,
that's not
aren't
how
they
it
gonna
works.
make her little robot pod?
Well, yeah, but I'm assuming that's not gonna be like a completely straightforward thing either. I don't know how well Foucault preserved those plans and how much that's gonna just instinctually work. And also, walk up to a random lady and tell her, please get into this high tech pod, otherwise you might kill 40,000 people. Then
I
again,
mean, yeah, I guess.
Foucault is very persuasive and very sweet. Maybe she can do it. Um, But yeah, no, I think if we keep going sort of at this pace where she convinces one character a chapter, I think that's actually really good. It's
Yeah,
not
well,
like
because
a
we already mostly know these characters. We don't have to like re-meet them and redevelop them. So
yeah,
it's kind of
exactly.
just taking them back to the point that we know them before, so you're able to do it at a faster click.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and because last time I think we said that we don't want it to be like a montage, and I think this is a good middle ground. Like it's fast, it's snappy, but it's not like insulting to our investment.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, super super cool chapter. Liked it a lot.
All right. Well, it sounds like that's what we've got for Undead Unluck. So
Yep.
next up is My Hero.
The fun segment every week.
Yeah.
Um, Spinner's moment was really cute. Or like bittersweet when he's like, "Oh, I'm finally doing it. Look at all my allies," and he's just alone. Like I can see what Hori wanted here, and I think it works. I think it's a very cool, tragic moment to show like how much he has lost and how much he has not been able to progress, and it has just been diluted by All for One and his mind trickery. It's a very how to put it, emotionally charged look at All for One's manipulation. Something that I wished we would have gotten more with Shigaraki, but it's cool that Spinner gets it because I mean he's my sweet lizard boy, and I will always love him. Um, I mean we've talked at lengths last week about how this subplot feels, so I don't
Yeah.
feel like we need to like rethread it. It's still not great. It's still just as clumsy as last week, but I am respecting Shoji as a character more and more. I think his like conviction and the way, like the kind way he goes about phrasing things in isolation, if you remove it from the real life homage, that's very cool, and I'm glad this characterization exists for him. Same for Koda. I like his backstory. Again, the usual caveat applies. I wish we would have gotten it in a more natural way through the story, but this is cool. Also, Koda is not a character I need much more on
Yeah,
personally.
I kind of didn't even really care that much. I mean, the backstory was fine. I'm just sort of
Yeah,
like, whatever. Like, what do you
yeah, it's
fucking
sweet.
whatever, man. Your move is called Hitchcock Birds. Shut up.
Hey, that's cool.
Does Alfred
Uh,
Hitchcock exist in this world?
he must. Otherwise, why would he call it Hitchcock Birds?
Because we, the audience, know what that is.
Maybe, but I mean, wait. So Mirio called his super move the Phantom Menace.
Hmm.
Does Star Wars exist? Do these people know that all of their cities are named after Star Wars?
I
um, but no, I thought this chapter was pretty sweet. Um,
also like how
again,
Spider Guy is defeated with a single panel of him just fucking birds flying over the place.
I mean, birds are nasty critters. If they have it out for you, that's it. You're a goner. Um, but yeah, I like this chapter more than the last one simply because it focused more sort of on the personal aspect of this whole mutated storyline, or yeah, mutant storyline. Um, which is I think when it works. When you try to expand it onto like the social level, I think you get into the iffy metaphors we talked about last week.
Yeah,
But on a personal level, like Shoji versus Spinner, and add to it like President Mike's youth and his like regret about how little they were able to achieve. I think that makes it work better. And hey, I'm actually kind of interested to see now what happens with Kurogiri, because this can now go a lot of ways. Um, I've seen a lot of copium about people saying that Spinner is going to use Kurogiri to go to where Shiggy is fighting Deku, and he's gonna like save Shiggy and make him come to his senses again, and then my hero is actually not gonna have its final arc, and it's like, hey,
that's
I
intense
empathize.
copium.
Yeah, like I empathize. I would love for that to happen. No fucking way at this point. Um, because it's funny, I saw people say that like him dealing with the mutant plotline and taking it up again is like indication that the story's gonna go on longer than we thought. Because he also had like an author comment like that. And in my opinion, it's sort of like, no, no, no. If the mutant plotline gets addressed, which it now has been, one of the last like loose ends of the story has officially been like tied up, which means that we are now very well set for an ending. Not a good one, but an ending. Um, because I can't think of any other plot line that has been left unresolved besides maybe Deku's dad, which I think is at this point just lost media inside of Horikoshi's head. Like when he told those people at Comic Con 2019 that Deku's dad was gonna be revealed, he was just lying. That's crazy.
His dad's gonna be revealed after the arc is over, and he's gonna be like, "Hey, son, I'm home." That's gonna
Yeah,
be it.
son, did you have fun at Your Hero Academia? um, but yeah, no, sweet chapter. Interested to see where this goes, which is more than I can say for many My Hero chapters over the last year. So hey, that's pretty cool.
I do
Um,
like that Spinner apparently like absolutely blasted all those doctors.
yeah, fucking
Um,
on page 10, you can see him crush the police guy who drew a gun on him.
yep. Um, and I like when any sort of like, oh, this is actually he's going on a horrifying rampage, but in his head he's just like a happy kid running through the halls. It gives me big like Chainsaw Man snowball fight vibes. I like anything kind of like that, where like
Hmm.
horrible
Yeah,
shit's going on, but the character in the midst of doing it is just like has no idea. They're just in fucking fantasy land right now.
yeah. Yeah, no, I thought that was really nice. It does mean that all the Super Mario characters are probably dead now. So no more revivals.
I
Which
love
you
how in
know,
a world with fucking magical powers, the cheap free revivals is just of a hospital.
well, my hero gets it. The actual greatest superpower a society can have is good healthcare.
Who knew?
Comrade Horikoshi, he gets it. Um, I might not want his opinion on the Black Lives Matter protests, but I would like to hear his opinion on socialized healthcare. He seems to have the right ideas there, at least.
I don't know. I feel like he's gonna be like, yeah, you should really pay for it.
Spinner, I get you're sick, but I draw the line at having others pay for you. Oh god, no, no, you're gonna launch me into like another tirade, and they're gonna be like, "Ugh, why is this podcast so political?" It's like I don't know because politics like influence every part of our lives. Maybe
Because
that's a
literally
wild idea.
politics is, yeah, every aspect of your daily life. Like,
Yeah,
sorry.
it's like crazy. Politics can literally decide that diabetics should just die if they decide to make insulin like too expensive. That's wild.
And you can't do
Like, well,
jack about it. So it's like you gotta talk about it. You gotta be aware of it.
yeah. Uh, I mean, it's not even like a making awareness kind of thing because I'm not. I don't talk about politics to, like raise awareness. I talk about politics because they fucking infuriate me, and
Well,
I have
yeah,
no filter.
they fucking
Filter, and
blow.
yeah, I have no self control, no impulse control whatsoever. So you get me started on healthcare, and I'm like, wow, the world fucking sucks. But it is what it is. You gotta vote, you gotta organize, you gotta do whatever you can. And in the meantime, you just gotta put one foot in front of the other, and any other like inspirational metaphor you can think of right now.
Yes,
Yes, this is the official statement of the Shonen Chill podcast. We say yes to good healthcare. We say no to mutant racism.
we
Out of
we do.
10.
That yeah. All right.
um,
Anyway,
yeah, time for the finale.
yes. Next up
All right,
is Jujutsu Kaisen.
Choso, my beloved.
Choso, rip. My man is cooked.
I mean, he is, but also he's ripped.
He is. He's shredded. But in multiple ways.
True, but I mean, now he's gonna summon the other death painting wombs to help him fight, and it's gonna be interesting to see their abilities, as in like whatever buffs they give him. Because we've never seen or heard of them before.
Yeah, I
Um,
guess it's true.
well, I know that if you look up like Japanese mythology, you can actually see what they represent, but my whole knowledge on Japanese mythology when it relates to Jujutsu Kaisen is posts by other smarter people. So, I'll leave that to y'all.
I really liked the opening of the chapter where Cho's like, "Well, I'll go by myself," and Yuki's like, "Well, you're just gonna die," and Cho's like, "Okay, then fight with me." Oh, exactly, you won't because I'm not
Hmm.
strong enough. So just let me go.
Hmm.
Because otherwise, why am I even here?
Yeah.
Um,
Um, and the fight is also super cool, like double spread, pages 4 and 5. Very nice with Kenjaku like surfing on the debris.
yes, really cool looking.
Hmm.
Um, I like how Kenjaku's just bringing out like these little tiny baby spirits because he just doesn't have to
Hmm.
give a shit.
Yeah, yeah. In general, I'm glad we get to see Kenjaku fight. I feel like we haven't gotten much of that.
Yeah, we really haven't. And I mean, he does fight largely like Geto, which makes sense. But still,
Hmm.
it is cool actually getting to see him engage in a fight that isn't just like throwing cursed spirits and walking away.
Hmm. Yeah. And I also like that Choso's whole like, oh, I'm gonna die anyway deal kind of fades into the background once he's like, oh shit, you're disrespecting my brothers? Bet. This shit's personal now.
Hmm. Also, man, the translation in this chapter pretty crusty, pretty
You,
bad.
you think? What stood out to you?
Satoru Gojo and Suguru Geto can both use curse manipulation to wield grotesque armies. No, actually, he can't. In
Oh
fact,
shit,
Gojo can't do that.
where does he say where does he
Page
say that?
15.
Jesus. Yeah, no, that's
That's only
terribly
wrong.
wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the fan translation better?
I,
Does it
I
say
assume
something else?
so. I mean, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter talking about that translation specifically, and I'm sure I haven't seen the fan translation for it, but I'm sure it's meant to be like they can use cursed energy to like
Yeah.
obliterate armies. Um, I don't know how they got a translation in that is that Gojo can use cursed spirit manipulation to create a gross army because he most certainly can't do that. Um,
Yeah, that's weird because that's one of those. Because I mean, it's not like every chapter has a different translator. The translator for this chapter has been with the series for ages, and I mean, they should know that Gojo cannot do that.
yeah, it's not even like a question. That's
Yeah, like
only incorrect.
yeah, it's not something like with Crunchyroll subs, where basically every episode is subbed by someone else in the most hasty scenarios,
Hmm.
where it's like, okay, someone just doesn't know because they haven't actually watched the show besides the episode they needed to sub. But I mean, yeah, this translator, as far as I'm aware, has been with the series since the pedophile got outed. So, 2 years now.
Hmm.
Um, Also, everyone, you're welcome for reminding you of that whole mess.
Yeah,
Um,
thanks. Great.
yeah, so yeah, that's a kind of a huge oversight, but we'll be fixing the volumes hopefully.
Yeah,
Um,
hopefully.
I mean, it's not like Wiz is entirely consistent with that. Do you remember or did you hear of that time like the Wiz volumes for My Hero just added an additional line to Shoto that wasn't in the manga? Where he
Really?
basically just yeah, where he goes because it's the scene in Endeavor's agency when he's like, "Oh, Endeavor, I'm willing to work with you and I'm willing to like, learn from you because I know you're the number one." And in the weekly release it was correct, and in the Wiz release it added a couple of additional sentences that were basically like, "But you know what? Actually no, I still fucking hate you and I'll never forgive you." Which is
That's
like,
a
"Hey,
weird thing to add.
yeah, especially if the weekly release was more correct. Why change it?" Um, but yeah, Wiz's volume releases, in my opinion, are generally fairly high quality, at least for the series that I care about. I know One Piece fans have their whole feud with Wiz over Zoro's name, but
Yeah,
luckily I don't care about One Piece. Um,
the gift that keeps
but
on giving.
yeah, um, but I think most of the volume releases are pretty alright. There are some where I think, oh, that's kind of a silly mistake. Like I think in My Hero, when Twice first does the Sadman's Parade in My Villain Academia, one of the Twices is like cut off. It's like just half a Twice for no reason.
Hmm.
Um, and then there are other things like the Chainsaw Man logo in English, where I'm like, you're being weird. This is a fine logo.
Yeah,
Who
that's like
cares?
not did not need to be changed.
I mean, it didn't need to be changed, but I don't mind the new logo at all.
I
It's
think
sort of
it's
like
okay. I just kind of wish that they didn't make a logo for no reason when no other place did that.
yeah, but it is what it
But
is.
this
I don't
kind of
mind.
always has this weird thing for me. I don't know where it feels like they want to be like, oh, this is actually our product that we're releasing. I don't know
Uh
why they
huh.
give me that vibe.
I don't know. I guess I can see it. I don't think I entirely agree. It's not quite to the level of egregiousness with like Netflix, where they like buy a show and then call it a Netflix original.
Well,
You
no,
know?
it's not that bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
But
don't
I
know.
do get what
They
you
give me
mean.
the vibe of like we got to leave our stamp on this. And it's like
Yeah.
okay, fine, whatever it
One
is.
thing that was weird is they started releasing Choujin X in in physical volumes, and they didn't change the volume cover at all, with one exception, which is that they removed the author's name. Like it's not on the front cover anymore. It's only on the side spine, which is,
That's
I
very
mean,
weird.
yeah. I mean, it's not like egregious. I've seen people go on like huge rants about how disrespectful it is, but also like it's Sui Ishida. People know.
Right, like
Um,
people know who that is already.
yeah, like it's not like something I find extremely disrespectful, but it's weird. Like why? I think maybe that's what you mean. What where that sentiment you mentioned comes from is that a lot of Wiz's changes, in my opinion, are inoffensive, but kind of weird as to why they needed to happen. Or if they needed to happen, rather. Um, and, again, with older series like One Piece, you have legacy weirdness like Zolo, which I do not know the history behind that, and I don't really care. I just find it
I
really
always just
funny.
assumed it was because they didn't want to say Zoro because they were like, uh-oh, that's a thing. We'll get in
Maybe,
trouble.
maybe. I mean, I don't know. Is Zoro a patented name? I wouldn't have thought so.
I mean, I don't know. Like, there's the whole fucking what's its fuck the Antonio Banderas the movie they made the movie out of the books or whatever it is. There's like an IP named it.
Yeah, but you can't enforce. I don't think you can enforce copyright if you IP brand a specific version of your character.
I mean, I
Like
don't think you can either, but
yeah,
they
it's
get
like
scared about that
you.
kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I get it, but it's like with the new Winnie the Pooh stuff, right? Where Winnie the Pooh as an idea is public domain now. You just have to make sure to never give him a red shirt because that is actually patented with Disney. So
Right.
just the name Zorro shouldn't be and the fact that he uses swords, that shouldn't be by itself a copyright issue. Um, but it is what it is. Again, I don't care about One Piece. I don't care enough to go to bat for either side there. Some call him Zoro, some call him Zolo. I call him the only actual fun character in One Piece. Oh, that's our comment section gone.
What have you done?
Actually, that's not true. I love Crocodile. He's cool. I
I
really
like
like
Zoro. I
Crocodile.
think Zoro's cool.
Yeah, Zoro is also cool. Um, I like Sanji when he's not being Sanji and instead being Kiki McFight guy.
Yeah, Sanji when he doesn't have a personality. Yeah, I like him too.
Yeah, yeah. I like Chopper because I want to eat him.
He's cute. Well, like cuteness aggression way, or like you actually want to kill him and cook him kind of way.
He looks tasty.
All right.
No, his backstory is actually really cool. I did like that. Um, and I also like Smoker. I
Yeah,
have a
Smoker's
thing.
cool.
Yeah, I have a thing for like trench coat characters, which is weird because I hate wearing trench coats.
Everyone hates wearing trench coats because they're the trench coats have the biggest discrepancy between really really cool and really really stupid between fiction and real life.
Yeah, and also they're not particularly comfortable.
No, they're not.
Unless you get a really nice one. Um. Anyway, wow, this Jujutsu Kaisen chapter sure is fun.
Yeah, it's really good. A really awesome fight scene. Again, it helps when you actually use your environment in the fights that you're in.
Yeah, even
Um,
like an environment that is this abstracted, right?
hmm
Like this isn't a
It's good shit.
target. Yeah, but yeah, it's not a place anyone will like recognize or like know the physicality of, but it has these plates and they're moved sort of with along with the debris. It's a cool way of doing that.
Yeah.
Um, hey, we managed to have like an ongoing theme for our episode. That's crazy.
Yeah, look at
No
that.
one's
Episode what, 94, the please for the love of God use the background episode.
Yeah, for once we had an ongoing topic in an episode that wasn't just a one-off joke about like all for one being capitalism or whatever.
It's not even a joke. That's just how it works.
I mean, it used to be a joke until Hori canonized it because he watches the show. You know, obviously. Also, I saw a lot of people asking us if we read Hunter x Hunter. If it's not in the show, that's a self-answering question. Or rather, I should say, I'm not reading Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how it works around here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, why aren't you guys reading this? And I have to constantly be like, well, you see, in fact, I am.
My no good baka co-host doesn't read it. I don't care if you read Yozakura Family, baka. That's the sentiment I've been getting from like the comments for a while now. Except that one guy every week who's like, "Oh, another week to tell Oceans to read Yozakura Family."
He's still going.
He's still going, and so am I, because I actually have like chapter 10 or so open on my tablet. So you know, it's on the intention board. It's only a matter of time, guys. I swear.
Give it like 3 years.
give it like another like Shonen Jump rotation. You know, another like 17 canceled series. That's how you can measure time in Shonen Jump. All right.
The length of the axe.
Am I hearing that this is the axe for tonight?
I think so. I think we're good with this. So thank you, everybody. For those of you who noticed there is no Patreon one this week, that's because it's going to be next week because daylight savings time happened. And I was like, oh, shit. So I had less time than I thought I would. So next week, we're going to do our Patreon winner, and we'll put up the poll for the next month's picks.
All right. Do we tell them what it is, or
no? We're going to make them wait.
All right,
even though we already picked it, we're going to make them wait.
That's okay. I hope you guys hold on to our track record of reading things.
God damn it.
Wink, wink.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next time.